Guys, I have a video for you today. I have a question. Do you want a diet where you can eat whatever you want? Carbs, pizza, ice cream, cookies, chocolate chip cookies, fudge brownies, whatever you want. Well, this video is for you. Today's video we're going to go over if it fits your macros and why this is the best diet for you. So stay tuned and let's get this started. Guys, sorry for that energetic intro. I needed to energize myself to tell you about this great diet and why it has worked for me and why it will work for you. Now, before I get into if it fits your macros, let's talk about your gym bro, your best friend at the gym that walks around so serious like someone pissed him off for no reason, picked up a 20-pound dumbbell and curled it out, and all of a sudden he's looking at everyone like he has a vendetta against everyone. Whatever. You're going to the gym so every single day consistently, and you finally get to this man's good graces, and you walk up to him and you ask him, yo, what's the best diet to get shredded? What's the best diet to bulk and gain muscle? What's the best diet to maintain your weight? And the answer is always going to be with a very, very stern, serious look. Be like, chicken and rice and broccoli 5 times a day. And he's looking at you with such a serious face that you have no choice but to believe that answer. And that, my friend or friends, is a gym bro. And that is the wrong answer. And I'll tell you why. I don't want to stay too much on this point, but when you're first working out and you're dieting for the first time as well, and you have a lifestyle that you had before the gym where you were going out with your friends, you were going out with your family, you were eating whatever you want, pizza, ice cream, buffalo wings, burgers, whatever you want. And then all of a sudden you go to the gym, you start working out, you've been there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, and then you wanna cut down your weight, and you speak to this guy, he tells you completely get rid of all the foods you've been eating in the past and eat chicken and broccoli and rice. Do you think that's gonna work? Guys, that diet is a crash diet, and what's gonna end up happening is eventually you're gonna break down and you're gonna start binge eating and you're gonna lose so much progress. Now, I'm not saying chicken and broccoli does not work, but at the same time, it may not work with your lifestyle to temper that down as you go on in moderation. What I mean by that is, as you start to exhibit if it fits your macros and track your weight and everything, eventually you're going to start to temper down the bad foods, and you're going to start to allow the good foods to be in your lifestyle, where you're naturally going to change. It doesn't come where you're forced to do so, like this guy telling you to eat chicken and broccoli. If I'm looking right here, it's because I have a few notes. I don't want to get off track. I tend to do that, so I want to prevent that. But going back to if it fits your macros, why? The first point, as I mentioned before, it allows you to eat the foods you like, right? It allows you to eat the proteins, the fats, the carbs, ice cream, bread, pizza, whatever. Let's get away from that. But the second point is there's a catch, and the catch is tracking. You want to know exactly what you're eating and how your body works with that. This is through logging your MyFitnessPal. Every single day you get a good breakdown of how much protein, carbohydrates, and fats you've been eating for the day. And you want to also log your weight. You want to be able to see how your weight and how your body reacts to these foods in order to get a better idea and to adjust the macronutrients as we move on. And I mentioned macronutrients. What is a macronutrient? A macronutrient is a nutrient that your body needs in a large amount in order to survive. The main 3 that I'm going to be talking about are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. I mentioned this before. Now, what is a protein? As we know, a protein is broken down into amino acids used to build muscles and to make other proteins that are essential for your body to function. The next thing is a carbohydrate. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose. They supply you with energy, so you could go to the gym and have a crazy workout, a crazy pump, and you look like the biggest person in the room. And then, what is a fat? A fat is broken down into fatty acids and used to synthesize hormones and other substances used for your body's activities. If you're low in fats, you're going to be feeling like crap. Excuse my language, you're going to be feeling like shit. And you're not going to have enough hormones to function throughout your day. You're going to have subpar days at work. You're going to have subpar workouts. And everything is just subpar. And we want to avoid that. Before I move on to the next part, the reason why I mentioned macronutrients are because we are going to determine for you the protein, fats, and carbs, the amount of those three that you're supposed to eat every single day in order to maintain your muscle and possibly grow while cutting if that's your goal. Determine your carbohydrates so you can get the right amount of energy and slowly lower that over time, and fats as well. Now, in order to do this, we need to first determine how many calories you should eat based on your day-to-day activities. But in order to do this, we need to first determine how many calories you should eat based on your day-to-day activities alongside your goals. Are you cutting? Are you maintaining your weight? Or do you want to gain muscle but you don't want to gain fat? This is what we're going to do right now. Very important part of the video. So take a notebook out. I'm going to switch over to the camera on the computer, and I'm going to screen record to show you how we determine our calories. So let's start that right now. All right, guys, as you can see, I am recording my screen to show you how someone would determine their calories. This is calculator.net. I'm going to link the link in the description below. So make sure to click on that as I go on with this little walkthrough. This is really super simple. The first thing we want to do is enter a few points of information that pertains to our age, gender, height, and weight. And when you enter all that information and press calculate, this will generate your BMR, or basal metabolic rate. The basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories you burn at rest. Now, basal to me sounds like basic. And just like a basic friend, living with those basic or basal calories offers you personally nothing in terms of growth when it comes to weight loss or, gaining muscle. To make this more interesting, because you aren't basic, and I hope you're not, you will add more to your caloric intake based on the activity you do per week. For example, what do you do for work? Are you sitting or are you moving around? And if you just started working out, are you working out every single day? Are you working out 3 to 4 days? This is very important to keep note because you're adding extra activity, whether you're working, walking around for work or you're working out. You're burning a lot of energy, and when it comes to cutting weight or bulking up, you want to make sure you account for that. And to do that, I want you guys to look at the activity level. This will show you below based on your activity if you exercise 1 to 3 times a week, or 4 to 5 times a week, or 3 to 4 if it's an intense workout or if it's intense work, how many calories you're supposed to be burning per day. Now, before we go into all of this, I want to show you guys what you're supposed to do. It's very simple, as I mentioned before. You want to make sure you enter your age, your gender, if you're a male or a female, what your height is. So I am 6'4", that's what the doctor told me, and then your weight, which is 200 pounds, and then you want to calculate. I already calculated this, and the number I got is 1,994 calories per day. Now, that's obviously what I'm not burning per day. There's probably a lot more because my activity level is pretty intense. I want to say that I am intensely exercising for 6 to 7 times a week. Therefore, my caloric intake at this moment will be 3,439. Now, this is not an accurate number, but this is what we're going to go by. Accuracy will come by you when you start tracking everything and really looking into how your body reacts to your food intake along with your workouts. But don't worry about that. We'll go into that later.
but this is what my activity level is, 6 to 7 times a week, and my caloric intake is 3,439. Now I want you guys to do this as well, because this is very important for the next part when we figure out if we're gonna reduce or increase your caloric intake based on your goal. Just for context, if you're looking to bulk up, we're going to increase your caloric intake. And then if you're looking to lose weight, to get shredded, then we're going to reduce your caloric intake. So make sure you do that. Write down this number on a blank sheet of paper, and I'll see you guys in a few seconds.
All right, guys, welcome back. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take that caloric intake, the number that we determine or that you determine for yourself based on the activity you're doing. We're going to write it down on a notebook right over here. And based on your goal, this is very important. Based on your goal, we're going to increase or we're going to reduce that caloric intake and figure out what you should do in terms of taking that number and converting it into macronutrients, so you have a better idea of how you're going to be tracking your foods. So the number that I got was 3,439. I'm going to round that up to 3,500 calories. And for the sake of the video, I'm going to say that I'm cutting weight, because currently I am cutting weight. If you're looking to bulk up, then you should add 200 calories to this number. If you're looking to cut your weight down, you should reduce it by 200 calories. Now, if you're a little bit more on the heavier side, if you have a lot of weight you're going to be losing, then maybe have that 200 become 400 calories, because you're going to be burning that fat a lot faster initially until you start to really get down and slowly lose that weight. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take that caloric intake. I'm going to be subtracting it by 200, which will be 3,300 calories. So make sure, based on your goal, to either add or to either subtract. I would recommend hearing me out first for these calculations so you don't get lost, and then after you watch me do it yourself. It's super easy and super simple. After I make the reduction in calories, I get 3,300 calories. Now what we're going to do first is we're going to determine how much protein you should eat per day. Normally, in order to maintain the muscle that you do have, you want to at least have 1 gram of protein per body weight, per pound of body weight. So if you're like me, I weigh 200 pounds, then I should have 200 grams of protein per day. But I'm going to be multiplying my body weight, which is 200. So get your body weight, multiply either by 1 pound, by 1 to 1.2. I'm going to multiply it to 1.2, like I said, because I am cutting weight. I want to make sure I'm not losing muscle. At the same time, I want to make sure that I'm getting a lot more protein in. It's going to help with my cut. And after I make that calculation of 200, which is my weight, times by 1.2, I get 240. Now this 240 is in grams. So for me, I'm going to be getting, for every single day, I'm going to have to eat 240 grams of protein per day. Now that's great. The question is, how does this affect the caloric intake we just determined? Well, when it comes to protein and carbohydrates, when you want to convert that number, that gram, into calories, you multiply it by 4. When it comes to fats, you want to multiply it by 9. For this specific case, we're going to multiply 240 times 4. So for you, when you determine how much protein you're supposed to get in grams, multiply it by 4 in order to convert that into calories. So when I multiply 240 by 4, I'm sorry, I haven't had math in a long time, I will get, I have it on here, I will get 960 calories. Perfect. Now, you ask, what do you do with that 960 calories? You want to take the calories that we determined based on your activity level and on your goal, so whether you're cutting or you want to maintain or gain muscle, and you subtract it by the calories we just determined for protein. So for me, as we said, I'm going to be going on 3,300 calories because I'm cutting, and I'm going to subtract that by 960, and I end up getting 2,340 calories remaining. So because we took account for protein, now I have 2,340 calories remaining, and that's going to be divvied up based on the amount of grams you get for carbs and fats. The next thing we're going to do is for fats. Fats, normally the range you want to get, 0.3 to 0.4. This really goes up to you personally. Do you want to have more carbs in your day-to-day life, or do you want to have more fats? So I'm going to multiply my body weight by 0.3. When I do that, so I weigh 200 pounds, I'm going to multiply it by 0.3, I get 60. Okay? So 60 is the number where I eat 60 grams of fats every single day. And we want to convert that 60 grams into calories, and to do that, as I mentioned earlier, we're not going to multiply it by 4. That's for protein and carbs. We're going to multiply it by 9 to convert that number into calories. And 60 times 9, which is an easier calculation, is 540. So that 540 is the 540 calories that you're going to subtract from the 2,340 calorie number we just determined. So 2,340 calories, as we determined, is without protein. We just took that out. Now we're going to take that 2,340 calories and we're going to subtract it by 540, and we will get 1,800 calories left. Now let's stop here for a second, because I know there's a lot of numbers going on. I want to go into a little bit of a review. I feel like a professor right now, kind of proud, or maybe a TA, I don't know. We took your body weight and we multiplied that by a range of either 1 to 1.2 to determine the amount of grams you're supposed to get for protein. I specifically said I want 1.2. Now if you're bulking, you could do it by 1 because you're going to be getting a lot of carbs in. When I did 200 times 1.2, I got 240. That's 240 grams of protein I'm supposed to be eating every single day. And then I want to take that 240 grams and I want to multiply it by 4 in order to convert that from grams to calories. And I got 960 calories. Now remember, I said, there's 3,300 calories that I'm going to be eating every single day. That 3,300 calories will account for activity, so I'm working out every single day, plus I'm cutting weight, so we're reducing that to 3,300 calories. And then we're going to take that 3,300 calories and we're going to subtract it by 960 calories. Remember, that 960 calories was the amount of protein we eat per day. And then we got 2,340 calories. That 2,340 calories will be allocated for carbohydrates and fats. And we just said that we take our body weight and we multiply that by a range of 0.3 to 0.4, depending on what your personal preference is. I said 0.3. This is for fat. I want to have a little bit less fat so I can have more carbohydrates, and I got 60 grams. Then we want to convert that 60 grams of fats into calories. So we do 60 grams times, multiply that by 9, not 4, by 9, and we got 540 calories. And then we take that 2,340 calories and subtract it by 540, and we got 1,800. So make sure to do that for yourself as you do your own calculations. And as you guessed, that 1,800 calories that we determine will be specifically for fat. So what we're going to do is we're literally just going to divide that number by 4, and I will end up getting 450 grams of carbs. So we just determined our macronutrients. Let's hold for an applause. Yes! Now we know, now we can finally track and be on our way to either cutting or bulking based on your goal. Okay, so the protein is 240 grams, the carbohydrates is 450 grams, and the fats will be 60 grams. Make sure for your own self you get your notebook. All right, I know you can't really see much, but I got this notebook from ShopRite. It was $1. You know, nowadays iPads are cheaper than notebooks. It's crazy. But anyways, make sure you write that number down on a book. Do the calculations. Watch this video very slowly to go over each calculation and determine those macronutrients. So the final numbers, as we said before, 240 grams for protein, 450 grams for carbs, and 60 grams for fats. Beautiful. Now that we have determined our macronutrients, we can now track the amount of foods we eat every single day and get much better idea of how our body will react. Now, I want to make a very, very important comment before I end this video. These numbers are not going to be accurate until you make them accurate. It is very, very important, very essential that you take these numbers and you live by these numbers for at least 2 weeks every single day. I believe in you, okay? If you didn't have discipline before, now you're going to have discipline, because this is the time to figure out how your body will react to the foods that you take in, okay? The reason why I say this is very important is because as you track consistently every single day for 2 weeks, and you take account of how much you weigh every single day, you will start to see a daily trend of if your weight is going up, if your weight is going down. So for example, if you're cutting weight, right? You're cutting weight and you're tracking every single day, and for 2 weeks or maybe even 3 weeks, you start to see a straight line in your weight, and then all of a sudden your weight starts to go up a little bit, then you know that you may be eating a little bit more than you should be. So what can you do? You could lower the amount of carbs you're eating, maybe by 20 grams or 30 grams of carbs. It's not a big jump daily, but when it adds up weekly, that's a big jump in how much carbs you're eating. And you could start to make adjustments, and then those numbers start to become accurate. And before I end the video, I also mentioned that there is a catch with if it fits your macros, right? You could eat whatever you want. I highly recommend that you include the foods you're eating right now. Now, obviously, you can't eat a pie of pizza because that's probably going to go over your daily intake. But you could eat maybe, a serving of chips, a serving of chocolate, whatever the case is. Naturally, over time, as you track your foods, you're going to make better decisions, because you will start to see that a serving of chips versus a serving of pasta, number one, you feel more fuller in pasta, and pasta has less fat than chips, and you have a better workout, and you get more volume than you would with chips. You make that decision naturally over time. No one is forcing you. That gym bro, he's out of the way. We don't want to speak to him anymore. I will preface this. I will be making a part 2 to this video of how to track your macronutrients, how to use a weight scale, and how to use MyFitnessPal. I will do a day in the life of what I'm eating for my current cut, and get you guys that information, because this is very important. So before I end the video, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Like this video, and if you have any comments, any concerns, any questions, be sure to leave a comment in the comment box below. I'll see you guys later. Peace.